This is Morten from Inkish. We are still on the third day here at LabelExpo in Barcelona. And it's actually really nice to be back here with manroland Goss. And I'm not here in the booth because it's the first time I'm here in this booth. But it's great because I have the pleasure of talking to my good friend, Franz. Good to see you.
Morten, good to see you.
I mean, when we visit you in your office, I was blown away because honestly, I thought that manroland Goss had a hard time because nobody buys web offset machines as they did in the past. And you just convinced me so much that your business model and how you run the business is like really the right way, right?
Yeah, well, you know, there's a German saying, those who are sentenced death live longer. Yeah, but let's give a bit more positive spin to it.
Yeah.
You know, we are...
No, it was positively meant, but now what I said.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
but I mean, just the saying.
Yeah.
What we see is that the technology has a lot of benefits for customers across the globe, and especially book printing is something, it shows tiny growth numbers if you just look from a market perspective. But if we look at the markets where we have an access to, I just met a customer last week in Northern America telling me they have 20% growth in book.
That's amazing, right?
And they are on web offset.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and their equipment is like 30 years old.
And then
so you see there is a lot coming up for us in this
and
industry.
And then I was just about to say, because what people may not know, I didn't know until just a few minutes ago, is basically that when you look at manroland Goss today, you actually 10 years ago developed a bookbinding machine that could go very fast.
Yeah, actually that's our book FormerLine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was presented FormerLine and FoldLine. The one can produce higher runs and the other one is pretty versatile, so you can have different size books following up on each other. And that was presented in 2016. And what we figured out over the last years is that this equipment features more power than the majority of those customers would have needed in the last years. But now with the recent developments in inkjet, the finding we made is that the now coming up inkjets from the leading brands just have the requirement for the equipment which we have on our product portfolio since years, and we just don't have it on the shelves. We sold like 20 of those FormerLines already over the last years, and we have a very high demand now coming from China, by the way.
It's funny you mentioned that. I think I told you when we met, it's a couple of years ago now, I think, right?
2 years,
2
I
years,
think.
yeah. I remember that we had just been visiting a book printer in Milan, and what the surprise was that they were both web offset, sheet offset, web digital, and cut sheet digital. But there was a manroland Goss finishing device in the middle of this, and normally when you come out it's always hooked or Tekla or EMT or ContiWeb, and I was surprised because of course with the experience you have in the web-based finishing and web-based print, of course you know how to handle paper that goes fast, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and especially there's one thing which customers very often underestimate. If you have an equipment which runs a certain speed, you don't need certain technology. But if you have delicate substrates like paper and you really go high speed, then it becomes like an airfoil. So I'm as a former aerospace engineer, you know, I'm in my business bag again. So you need to guide those papers with air films, with all kinds of tricks to make them stay where you want that thing with a speed of 60 kilometers per hour or so. And that is something which really increases the demand to the technology, increases also the cost and so the price, but in the end you have a completely different competitive level versus those who don't have that equipment.
Yeah. And I guess that, like, I was a bit surprised to learn about the Variformat. I guess that also when it was Variformat, right? No, what was it called?
The FormerLine.
FormerLine, sorry.
This is the Variformat.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But the FormerLine you're talking about.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. No. So when you then have this machine, and it has the capabilities and reaching the speed of what the inkjet printers are finally getting there. Yeah. I guess that when you go and visit the print OEMs, they are also surprised a little bit, right?
Yeah, they are surprised. They have been surprised because very often our customers don't believe that really the equipment is delivering that performance. I just recently met a customer also in Northern America, a big book printer. I said, guys, this equipment is built to operate 50,000 revolutions per hour. it is built for that 24/7. That is when it feels most comfortable. You cannot calculate that with a 25,000 or 30,000 revolutions like a competitor product,
because it's a different.
because it's a completely different level of competitiveness.
But that, of course, means that what you have to do is, of course, identify the prospects that have the volume and the requirements for that particular technology, right?
Market consolidation does a good job for us
And I
here
remember,
because we figure out the customers.
And I again remember that you knew exactly where the machines are in market, both your own and the competitors, right? So you probably also know who are printing books, so you can probably easily identify them, right?
That's very good. It's very correct because of the merger with Goss, and Goss brought in a lot of market knowledge in a different area than manroland. So we have a powerful market knowledge, and we are showing up at customers who not operate any of our equipment at all, because we know they have the right product. And sometimes, as I said, we replace 10 machines by just 2. And this is a powerful step forward for those customers.
We have to talk about a few other things, and time is running, always when you're with good friends. So I'm going to talk to your colleague a little bit more about this machine that we see here, right? But let's talk a little bit about the market situation, because I mean, when you have machines like this where you sell relatively few units per year, but at a relatively high cost, then of course, I guess that you're very influenced by what is happening in America when it comes to tariffs, right?
Yeah, to some extent, yes. But also the tariffs in the US allow some legal ways to mitigate the effects of that. So like software, keep our fingers crossed, still is free of tariff. Also all the working content which is brought into the equipment, commissioning, ramp up, installation, so locally is also without tariff. And these are pretty relevant costs. This is a highly automated equipment, so majority of that is actually a lot of that which is not under tariff. That's number one. Number two, we have very, very good relationship with our customers. So it's like a jungle, that whole tariff situation. So it requires a robust partnership to really talk together and understand how that works and what the risk is in the end. Typically, the efficiency leap for our customers is so high that we bring down working on the tariff and really legally using what is possible there, bring it down to a level where the customer says, okay, the benefit overwhelms the tariff.
One thing is, of course, the American market situation and what you just explained, you of course have to cope with that. But you also have like opportunities, because you talk about that you're a global player, so you also can offset some of the demand and some of the production capacity to other markets like Asia, for example. Do you see that kind of movement already, or?
Yeah, we see that Asia becomes more active at the moment. It's pretty interesting because in my perspective, as an observer of the market in Asia,
You're not an observer, you're a player in the market.
Yeah, I'm observing also other markets.
Okay.
I'm a key player in the market, yeah. But what I see is that good enough technology was something which was good enough in Asia. And with the leaps in technology, especially coming from inkjet, that means that a higher level of technology is required. And we have that already. I mean, this doesn't mean that Asian suppliers will not be able to bridge that gap, close that gap pretty fast. They proved that they are able. So no reason for us to relax. But at the moment and right now, we have the product at a price level which is acceptable for the Asian market, which is a strength at the moment.
And I mean, when you look at manroland Goss installed base and legacy and knowledge about the technology, I mean, there's still news presses in the world. There are still like web offset players, and as you see, the technology can even be converted into be excellent packaging machines as well, right? So there's a lot of opportunities in the market that sometimes you forget about when you just think of, okay, that was a company that only did web offset presses, right?
Yeah, that's what you completely forget. Because when people hear manroland Goss, they think it's all about newspaper, which is a highly appreciated business, or also marketing material, which is also a highly appreciated business. But then people keep forgetting about books, which is really growing and interesting. And after decades of not investing anything into that business on the side of our customers and the markets, it is really an interesting topic. And as we have a very attractive solution for the packaging industry, this is also something where we grow. And we dedicated a lot of our time here to our digital book folders, which is also something which has a robust market.
I hope it was okay, because I think it's even though it's 9 years old, I still think it's like good news, because if you have these fast printers and you need the capacity of high speed, high quality, you need to talk to you guys, right?
Morten, you should know us. I mean, the basic design is 9 years old. It has the most recent automation, I'm
not questioning that, but I was more thinking, the fact that you have the technology available, and it was developed maybe even before the digital machines got to that level, just shows that you have the good reasons why people should talk to you guys, right?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Morten, it was a pleasure.
As always.
See you
soon.
soon.
To,